Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we promised we would start on time. It is 8 o'clock. I see Kathy Jones here. Kathy, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the NAIOP Southern Nevada July breakfast meeting. My name is Chaim Mizrahi. I am the chapter president for 2022. So we're gonna jump right in. Let me ask everyone who's enjoying their networking at this point to enjoy it at the end of the breakfast, so we can get the morning announcements started and get the panelists up here, because I know you all want to hear about them and what's happening in land in Southern Nevada. So at the beginning of this year, I committed to sharing lesser known facts and achievements about NAIOP. I'm going to continue that commitment this morning, but first a quick recap of what we already covered so far. Starting in January, I shared with everyone that NAIOP Southern Nevada is a top 10 chapter by member count nationally. Statistically, it shouldn't be, but it is. We talked about how we've been winning national chapter merit awards since 1993. We talked about how NAIOP has commissioned studies over the years that have positively affected policy regarding our industry. In April, we took a trip down memory lane, hearing about how the Community Service Committee was started. We talked about the Developing Leaders Institute and how it has completely changed the trajectory of our chapter and leadership. Last month, Reed Gottesman shared history about our breakfast programs dating back to 1986. Today, I'm going to share all the things about our education committee. Education has always been part of NAIOP's three-legged stool. Why do we come here? Three things: education, networking, clearly, and government affairs. That's right. We're gonna win them over. I know everyone here is listening and paying attention. They're gonna all get their coffee full, and they'll come join us. But back to the Education Committee. It started in 1990 as an annual development forum. The chair at the time was Mike Majewski with the city of Las Vegas. The annual development forum continued until 2003. It focused on different municipalities each year. It was a half-day forum. It provided a step-by-step overview and review of the approval, inspection procedures, overseen by economic development, planning, utility services, building, and fire departments. It was an open dialogue. It also provided participants an opportunity to receive answers to questions most often asked. If that wasn't good enough, it also provided 4 hours of continuing education for real estate and appraisal. Sounds like this is something we should bring back, actually. In 1993, this chapter won its first merit award for that program, for the annual development forum program. And this chapter has gone on to win 2 more chapter merit awards over the years because of our education programs. In the late 90s, NAIOP began partnering with the Lead Institute for Real Estate Studies for most of the education programs. Mayor Deborah March was the director of the institute at the time. Starting in 2001, the Education Committee began offering workshops on topics of importance and were relevant at that time. Do you want to hear some examples? You guys want to take a little trip down memory lane? Chase, this one's for you. It was 2001. The Education Committee put on a program called Palm Pilot Essentials. The follow-up that year, Outlook Essentials. Katrina reminded me 2001 was around the time when email really started taking hold in business. Fascinating. 2002, there were 2, developer panel. It was 8 of the top developers at the time. The other one, I don't know what this is. Maybe someone who was there can tell me later. Immediate advantage of long-range strategic facility planning. Sounds pretty dense. In 2004 was infrastructure. 2005, probably groundbreaking for Las Vegas at the time, a panel on mixed-use developments. In 2006 was finance, green, and utilities, 3 separate ones. In 2007, a workshop on LLCs versus corporations, how best to invest and protect real estate. In 2008, notices of default. Didn't know what those were. And also an introduction to LEED, L-E-E-D. In 2009, during the Great Recession, the committee offered a summer school series. There was Land 101, Retail 101, Industrial 101, Office 101, and Green 101. Those were free to members. Coming out of the recession, the free webinars continued, except the topics evolved from Palm Pilot Essentials to social media strategies. And there was another one on sustainability and development. This year, the Education Committee has already planned 2 programs. In January, there was a virtual workshop on infrastructure and how all things are connected. In May, it was a live program, return to live programs, about the collision of retail and industrial in development. In a little bit, the Education Committee Chair is going to tell us about the program they have planned for August, so make sure you tune in. I'll end with 2 thoughts. Past committee chairs of the Education Committee have included Jen Levine. Round of applause for Jen. I did that to break up my talking. I know I'm going on. Kyle Nagy of ComCap, Steve Niger of Colliers, and Jen Turchin, who is a repeat committee chair. Round of applause for our committee chairs over the years. Oh, sorry, Bridget Richards. This is the second page. Also a committee chair. Round of applause for Bridget. Here's my final thought on education programs. I have attended these in the past. I remember distinctly at one, I was taught there's a difference between design bid and design bid build. I was also at one where they talked about how do you build a stadium in a city like Las Vegas, and I remember them sharing when the Adelsons pulled out of the deal, it went from being an equity deal to a debt deal. If you're the kind of professional that wants to hone their craft to that level of nuance, don't sleep on these education programs when you see them coming up. They are incredible, and by the way, they are members only. Round of applause for education. Let's go on now and take a moment to honor our President Circle sponsors. They are a critical component to NAIOP of Southern Nevada. Frankly, we can't do all this wonderful stuff that we do for ourselves and the community without them. Special thanks to Cox Business, who has been a platinum sponsor for the last 18 years and is our breakfast program sponsor today. Special round of applause for them. And a thank you to our gold sponsors, Kimley Horn and Associates, Majestic Realty Company, Nevada General Construction, Panettone Development Company, Prologis, Southern Nevada Water Authority, and the Howard Hughes Corporation. Thank you for being gold sponsors of NAIOP Southern Nevada. To our remaining President Circle sponsors, I'm not going to read off their names, but if you look to my right and my left, you will see them displayed on the screen. Thank you to all of our sponsors. If you or your company are interested in being a President Circle sponsor, there are wonderful benefits to be had. There's additional information at the table on your way out. You can also see Katrina or Jonna as well. It's time for committee announcements. Can I ask all the committee chairs and representatives please come to the stage and give us your committee announcements of all the wonderful things that are happening within NAIOP Southern Nevada because of you. Right there. Yep.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jake Higgins with CBRE. I am the bus tour chair this year for the 2022 bus tour. This year, we will be having the event here on November 10th at the Orleans. It will be a similar event to last year where we have the virtual busless tour going through the 4 zones that represent each submarket within the valley. We will be showcasing the office, industrial, and retail developments here under construction or completed within the past year. So please register for that. We do still have some sponsorship opportunities available. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Salvador and I'm with Wright Engineers and I'm here on behalf of the Community Service Committee. We are partnering with communities and schools throughout the month of July, and we have this barcode. If you would love to take out your phone and scan the barcode, you can help us donate directly. We also have the barcode on our table. This also kicks off the Gently Used Business Attire Drive. So I would like to ask the community service to stand and just show support by donating an item. And also anybody here who would also like to donate, please go ahead and help us. Next month, we'll also be collecting supplies for the upcoming school year. So please keep an eye out for that email. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alicia Nelson with Next Gen and the Golf Committee Chair. Excuse me. Please save the date. We have reserved Paiute Golf Course for the 2023 tournament on May 4th, and our theme is May the 4th be with you.
Dan Tutland, on behalf of Jennifer Churchin for the Education Committee, Are We There Yet? Life in the Fast Lane of Roads, Rails, and Airways. This will be Friday, August 12th, and it's a really good panel. Robin Armstrong with the Aviation Department, Andrew Kajelman from RTC, longtime Christina Swallow, Director of Department of Transportation, a lot of us know her, and our very own moderator, Shani Coleman from Clark County. So education are great panels. You get into the weeds a little more than the breakfast. And by the way, it's members only, so if you're not a member, don't look up, as they say. And then on behalf of Programs Committee, if you want to be a part of the magic that this room is, and it really is, please contact me. We're looking for some people for the committee. It's really fun to put these together, and you can put any time you want from low to high, and you can be a part of it. So thank you, and contact me. Take care.
Hi, everyone. Gaetana Cafaso, Burt Construction Group with the NAIOP Spotlight Awards Committee. The save the date is set, so Saturday, March 25th, mark your calendars, and then the project nominations will open in September. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Micah with Nevada General Construction. I've got a handful. I will try to be quick. A week from today, today is the last registration day for the bowling tournament. Week from today, here at the Orleans, 4 to 6:30. There's only like 2 teams left. You have to be a member to create that team, so either find a member, or if you're a member and you don't have a team, get one in. It's going to be a great time. It should be the best turnout we've ever had. It's going to be a big event. There's also really good raffles. Community service will be doing a raffle during the score tallying. Should be a really, really good time. Also, August 11th is the next piece of our summer social series at Panavino. That is 5 to 7 p.m. The last one was a great turnout, great time to meet people you haven't met or see old friends. No hosted bar, but there is good food. It's just a great time right after work. Also, we are busy planning our social event of the year. It is September 22nd. Keep an eye out for more information as that launches for the sponsorships, $500 and $1,000. It'll be 70s themed. It'll be at Diversion Amusements. If you were there last year, you know it was a really good time, and it will be this time. We're shooting to try to make it better, and I think it will be. Lastly, save the date for our holiday luncheon, December 9th at the Four Seasons this year. More information will be out shortly. Hi.
Thank you. And a big roaring round of applause for all of our committee chairs and members for all of their dedicated effort that makes NAIOP Southern Nevada so wonderful. New members, we like to recognize new members at our breakfast. If you are a new member and you're here today, please stand and let us applaud for you. We've got a few. Awesome. Thank you and welcome. If you're not a new member, please accept this as your personal invitation from the president of NAIOP to join. Yes, I'm giving you a personal invitation. If you want to join, there's additional information, again, on the tables. You can also go to naipsouthernevada.org. I'm talking to everyone here in the room and everybody at home watching by Zoom. We like to thank our breakfast meeting sponsors. Chuck, start walking up here if you don't mind. We do 10 of these breakfasts a year every time we have a breakfast sponsor. This previous breakfast sponsors include Affordable Concepts, Carpenter Sellers Delgado Architects, Germany Properties, Helix Electric, Heller Companies, Envy Energy, Schnitzer Properties, Southern Nevada Water Authority, SR Construction. And it is my privilege to introduce our breakfast sponsor this morning, Cox Business. They've been a valuable supporter of the chapter since 2004. Here to tell us more about Cox, Chuck. Come on up.
Thank you, Chaim. All right. First and foremost, just want to say that we are honored and privileged to be able to sponsor, not only as the platinum sponsor, but the breakfast today. And I have one goal and one goal only, to see if I can share something about Cox that you guys don't know. So there may be a test at the end, but the test, just keep this in mind, the test will result in some kind of raffle. So it's a good thing. All right, so something that you may not know that we do is cloud services. So cloud solutions, everything from Microsoft 365, SD-WAN, anything you can think of. That's something that we've really kind of forayed and moved into over the last couple of years. So that's something interesting. But more on the development side, I think this may be more interesting for you, is on our smart communities and smart development side. So we have parking solutions. I would probably suggest that most of you didn't know that. I didn't even know that until recently. We have security solutions and intelligent public safety. So we're doing a project with Baker Park and a couple other places right now with high capacity cameras for safety, for everything, security, anything else. That may be a play for development to try to secure your equipment, that sort of thing. And then curbside management. You'll actually see these on Fremont Street. It's really for Ubers, Lyft, different parking solutions, but really to help tell people where to go, and it has a countdown. It really actually makes things go a little smoother. So they've started off in a small area, but as they expand, and you're going to see more in these come in, it's going to be exciting. Hopefully you'll get less and less traffic backed up. And then kiosk solutions. These are something that you see in malls, anywhere like downtown Summerlin. You'll see these types of things, trying to navigate where to go. Again, mixed-use communities may be an opportunity, and much more. So in addition to that, and again, I'm trying to keep it brief, but I'm assuming that most of you have seen our logos in a lot of the arenas in town. But the last slide here is just kind of a snapshot of some of our partnerships. And every major arena and convention center and everything else that you can think of in the last 6 years, we've had our hand in and pretty much coordinate and quarterback the technology for. So that's pretty exciting to be a part of. City of Henderson is doing projects around smart lighting and different things like that. So we're really kind of getting into that whole IoT land. So here's the test. Raise your hand if I showed you anything on one of those slides that you didn't know. All right, everybody that raised your hand, that's great. At the end after the end, come over, drop a card or say something, and we're going to do a raffle for some type of event at one of these suites. So a pair of tickets, maybe even 2 pair of tickets. So thank you guys so much again. We're honored to sponsor the breakfast and to be your sole platinum sponsor. And thank you again.
Thank you again to Cox Business. Now it's time to get on with today's program. Just a quick reminder for those in the audience, there are pads and pens at every table. If you have a question, please write it down. You can take it over to Jalen, who is to your right, my left, or committee members from the program committee are going to be walking around grabbing those. Anybody watching by Zoom, you can submit your questions in the Q&A. Q&A will start at 9 today, and we plan to conclude here at 9:15. Scott Goldstein, Kay Roohani, and Kevin Higgins. I'm going to read their bios. You gentlemen can walk on up and get situated as I do this, and then I'll give it over to Kevin to be our moderator this morning. Let's start with Scott. Scott's the founder and managing partner of Prospect Street Capital. Under his leadership, the firm has raised $150 million of equity and has owned 1.2 million square feet of retail. Prior to founding the company, Scott worked at Blackstone as a principal in the real estate group and at General Growth Properties as senior director of investments. And also at Goldman Sachs. Not enough, not Blackstone and General Growth, also Goldman Sachs. As an associate in the real estate and lodging group. Come on up here, Scott. Kay Roohani, a name that everyone knows in Southern Nevada. Kay is the owner of 7 Valleys Real Estate and Construction and has been in Las Vegas for 43 years. He has a master's degree in civil engineering and construction management. He's currently an active land real estate investor. Come on up here, Kay. And Kevin Higgins is no stranger to NAIOP Southern Nevada. He's a past president. He's vice president currently at CBRE. He has 37 years of commercial real estate experience. He's a 52-year resident of Las Vegas. I'm going to stop reading the bio and just give you a personal take on Kevin before I hand it over. In my participation in NAIOP, Kevin has never said no to NAIOP. Anytime you ask him for anything, he always says yes. And if that wasn't good enough, it doesn't just stop there. His commitment to NAIOP is, I would say, driven through his entire team, not just at CBRE, but wherever he was before. He encourages and almost enforces involvement in NAIOP Southern Nevada. And for that, first of all, thank you. And second of all, thank you for being our moderator today. Perfect. Over to you.
Is this thing working yet? No? It's working, great.
All right.
Just want to make sure you can all hear me. I'll echo that sentiment that Chaim talked about and what I've seen today and over the last 30-odd years with NAIOP. It's indispensable in the commercial real estate industry in Southern Nevada. If you're not involved, get involved in any way, shape, or form. And I don't have to do this, I don't have to say this, but if you're in the business and live in the business, be in the business. And this is the heart of the business. It's a great place to meet people that are involved in all sorts of ways, not just brokers or land developers. It's every piece along the way that helps get it made. So, and again, anyways, excellent opportunity, I think, for anyone, young and old, to start now. So with that, the other thing I'd like to say is I really need that class again to work on this thing right now. You can ask my team members, I'm not very tech savvy, so it's really hard for me to navigate these things at times. So I think that class needs to come back in one shape or form there, and I'll certainly be a part of it. Part of what we're talking about today is obviously not just what has happened in the past, what's happening right now, but some prognostication about what might be from these gentlemen and a little bit myself, obviously. I thought rather than just the bios that we've talked about of what we've done is maybe talk a little bit first to introduce those who don't know these people up here, these gentlemen and myself, a little bit more deep dive onto how they got started, where they've come from. And Scott, I'll start with you. If you could just give a little once over on how you got here.
Yeah, sure. I'm a local Las Vegan. I grew up here. I went to college in DC, and after college I worked in New York for about 10 years. I worked for a large cap real estate private equity fund. Decided I wanted more autonomy as an investor and started looking to invest independently in markets that I was more familiar with, Chicago, New York, Miami. And just there wasn't like enough margin of error. This was margin for safety. It was about 2016. And someone showed me a deal in Las Vegas, right, my hometown, which I didn't really know a lot about, quite honestly, if I'm being fair. And the deal jumped off the page, right? We were building to a 10. It was a ground-up development deal, a small deal. Built to a 10, I felt like we could sell in the 6s somewhere, maybe 7s in a tough market. And so I realized I should take a deeper dive into the Vegas market. And my perspective was, quite honestly, there was still too much PTSD from what happened during the Great Financial Crisis. There were too many local guys that, could have made a stronger play, and institutions that had left that hadn't come back yet. Coupled with, I think, a really interesting stat that I don't see a lot of people talk about is the development per capita, right? There's about $20 billion per capita at that time, and still today, that's going on in Las Vegas. And so I felt like it was a good time to come back home and start Prospect Street. So in 2017, I started the company. We made a $3 million investment in that deal, total cap, so a smaller equity investment. And then in 2019, we made a $133 million investment in the Piccoli family's existing portfolio. So we grew the business at a much faster pace than I ever imagined, with a little bit of luck. And that's why we're here, and we've had a lot of fun, and the company's growing, and it's been enjoyable getting to know guys like this, and it's been a great market for us.
Okay, I know you've got a great story of how you got to Las Vegas and how you got involved in the land business.
First of all, I hope everybody can hear me. And I really like to thank all of you for even giving me a chance or invite me to be part of this, even though I've never been involved with NAIOP. And when I got that call, I was really excited to be part of this. I am originally from Iran. I was 6 years old. Because of religion, they killed my father, so I had to leave that country probably at the age of 9 or something and join my family in Pakistan. I built the steel mill of Pakistan and Sheraton Hotel in Pakistan at the age of 24. And my father's wish was one day I end up in this country. So I was looking for the most beautiful but the cheapest place to land. So I chose Stillwater, Oklahoma. and I really enjoyed to be there, except I didn't even know my way, but I got to the dorm and I was very happy to be there. And I was going for my master's degree, which was 2 years course, but I said, you know what? In order to get ahead in life, maybe I should finish this sooner. So I finished my master's degree in 11 months. My brother was a heart surgeon in Las Vegas, so I tried to join him. But the funny thing is, with all that education, when I applied for a job, anywhere I applied, they said you're overqualified for this position. So I could not get a job with any of the good companies. I tried to go work for Cashman, which was an engineering company, for free. I didn't feel the respect, so at 12 noon, I asked my brother to pick me up. So I left, and with the hope that I will find something to do on my own. I didn't have my green card, I was not citizen, and I was on a student visa in this country. Guess what? So I add in the newspaper, someone was looking for an individual who speaks 5, 6 languages. And I said, maybe this is a dream come true. So I bought a car for $1,000. I thought my brother would buy it for me. He bought it for a brand new Camaro. I drove to the address, and the minute I saw him, there was a very nice Moroccan by the name Leon Siboni of Adams Construction. The minute he saw me, he said, what brought you here? And I said, your ad. He said, how many languages do you speak? I said, 5. He says, that's your desk. You can go sit there. So I became, in one day, the chief engineer of Adams Construction. So believe it or not, I'm like 27 or 29 years old, and I'm the chief engineer of Adams Construction, but I got a chance to build all the Savons, Wolco, Albertson, everything almost in even Gemco's in Las Vegas. But again, honestly, even though that was my passion, that did not fit in with what I wanted to do as far as the money coming to my pocket. So what happened is I did one real estate deal. The first one paid $107,000 in commission. So I said, maybe this is where I belong. So from that day, this has become my passion. I love real estate. I live for real estate. And my kids tell me I'm crazy because I'm always, even in my dream, talk about real estate. And that's how I got involved and got in Las Vegas.
That's a great story. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Mine was not as interesting or as humbling, candidly. I got out of USC with BS in business, finance, and real estate. And I thought I was going to be a doctor. And so I had too much fun in college, so I couldn't take the hard courses, chemistry, physics, etc. So I thought I'd get a job sort of that I could do part-time and then go to school a little bit and get those other courses for a couple years to get into med school. And that was real estate. And at that time, most of the real estate companies were resi commercial. Jack Matthews, Realty Holdings, etc. And Coldwell Banker commercial was around then. And no one had, and I met with a lot of the people, no one had any training program. It was like, here's the telephone book, if you want a job, here you go. Welcome to the team. And I wasn't for that. And luckily, CB had a a training apprenticeship program, indentured servitude at that time, I believe it was. Anyways, a one-year program, and I said, I'm going to stick this out, and if I make some money, great, and we'll see how it goes. Well, I never quite have gotten to that physics class. I'm about a semester shy of my chemistry class, so probably in 2024 I can apply for med school. So the rest, like you, Kay, was it was, hey, you know, I could do this. This is a great town. It was at that time maybe 500,000 people, maybe, small town, and knew a few people, but didn't know what I was doing, but worked it and owned it like it was my passion. And I've done that for 30, luckily, again, I thank everybody and him up above for making me so lucky, maybe a little bit good for the D+ student that I was. And lucky enough to be able to let my relatives, my nephews, my daughter, my son into this business because I believe in the business. But anyways, that was so lucky to be here and 37 years later doing what I'm doing. That's my story. Now, you guys come from a little bit different angle here. All three of us are different. Kay, your business has been land speculation, land syndication. Tell us about how, once you got started, that evolved and to where you are today, you know, in syndications or speculation after your first initial $100,000 brokerage deal.
As I said, my main goal was to be in Las Vegas and only do commercial. In fact, I worked for a big company, Southwest Construction. I did all the paneling or the face thing on Bally's Hotel. I did something on El Rancho Casino. In the D Hotel, it was Fitzgerald. But honestly, it was really tough work, and I never saw the money. I mean, it was very tough. As I said, my first investment, and till today, I just want everyone to know this, I'm very grateful for people who showed me the direction in life. One was John Ritter of Focus Group. My first investment with him, my first deal in real estate, beside the one I mentioned, was with him. And in fact, I met my best friend through that deal was Elkhorn and Decatur. His name is Danny Kramer. But with John Ritter, I did a lot of deals, and my first investment was with him. I put in $4,000 in a deal with him, and it was, the return was $11,000. For 11 nights, I couldn't sleep at how fast this money became $11,000. So, but then I started investing slowly in small pieces of land in Las Vegas, and when I saw the direction it was taking me, I knew that's where I belong. I don't want to show off. I don't think anyone, maybe Scott Gregson or you or someone, but has never bought and sold as many deals of land in real estate. In fact, I remember one time Steve Sisolak was running for governor. I said, I was there to give campaign money at the door, and they said, where's your check? And I said, I didn't bring one because I'm running against them. So between you and me, I mean, land has been such a passion of mine that I've tried to take over from Apex to the north and south to, you know, south of M. And also we have done a lot of syndication. And I don't think any one of my investors have been unhappy because they all made money. So, and I really believe that everyone in this room should pay attention to what I just have to say one thing. There is no business in this world simpler, easier, more money making, and more fun than real estate land, because you can be at the beach enjoying your beach, but get a call and do one real estate deal. When you come home, the money is there to pay for your trip. So Honestly, that's what I think is the greatest thing in life.
Okay, you're supposed to keep that part down. It's the hardest business in the world, people.
That's right. That's right.
Scott, now you do a little bit different business side to this. Why don't you let us know a little bit about how you work out?
Yeah, ours is not as easy, apparently. We should probably just take a page out of Kay's book. We do way too much work. Yeah, look, we're certainly lower volume than Kay. We think about submarkets that we like, deals that we like, whether it's land or existing buildings or a combination of the two. Build a business plan that hopefully solves for a range of different outcomes. Execute on that business plan, and if we're lucky and we were right, then hopefully we create value, increase the value of the existing investment. So a little bit more formulaic, but that's essentially how we think about the business.
So, I'm just a broker. You guys all know what I do. It's like I just try to put the deals together. I think hopefully, like Kay, a little bit ahead of the curve about what's happening and the belief in Las Vegas and belief in real estate, enough so that I develop some on a small basis, syndicated on a small basis. Obviously, brokerage is the biggest thing we do right now. But in all senses, it's being involved in every aspect that I can and learn every aspect that I can from the ground up, working with the municipalities, working with the engineers, the architects, et cetera, and going through that whole experience so I can have at least a little bit of intelligence when I'm speaking with and to other people in the business. What would you say, Scott, was your most momentous deal yet in Las Vegas that maybe people would have gone, why is he doing that? Or didn't notice that and they go, wow, that was a smart thing to do?
In 2018, we bought 5 acres on Rainbow and Sunset right off of 215. And we bought it for like 1.1 million an acre. So I think it was the high watermark at that point or close to it, right? So it felt a little heavy. And so as I was talking to different stakeholders in the market, you could kind of tell they felt like I overpaid for it, or perhaps there were going to be some issues, and there were other folks that had owned it that had been in the market for a long period of time and didn't develop it. But from our perspective, and this is kind of a bit of our playbook, is we want to find partners as we're looking for deals that kind of also like the real estate. And so we knew In-N-Out Burger wanted to be there. We knew they wanted to be in the Southwest. Rainbow was appealing to them, and so we were able to sell one of those 5 acres for $3 million an acre to In-N-Out. And so all of a sudden, we owned 4 acres next to the 215 and to In-N-Out for essentially half the price of what we paid. So. But it probably looked a little silly at the time because of the high watermark price, and we took some risk. Obviously, we needed In-N-Out to get a deal done prior to us starting the development.
Cool. Kate, what do you think is your most, out of all that? I know it's very difficult for you because there's been hundreds of them, but the deal that maybe surprised everybody that you acquired?
You mean acquired and sold, or acquired?
Either way. Either way.
As I said, just because my passion is real estate land, every piece of property that I buy it for the lowest possible use and sell it for the highest possible use. And so because of that, every piece of property that I buy is very dear to me because I love the fact that I bought it, so it is something that I believed in. Now, but there are some deals that it became miracles. Like I had an assemblage at the Blue Diamond and Las Vegas Boulevard across from Factory Outlet. We assembled that deal. In fact, if I'm not boring anybody, I'd like to tell you this story. This was a deal that Howard Bullock had sold at one time, and there was a lady who bought it 30 acres to swap with a 2.5 acre that Howard Bullock wanted to do the wheel across from Mandalay Bay, which never happened. Anyways, this lady was, through Rick Truesdale, set up a meeting. We met at attorney's office to see if we can sign a deal. The minute this lady shook my hand, she said, I felt the energy that I was expecting. And I didn't know what she was talking about. The meeting was going on and all of a sudden, when they brought the document for her to look at, to sign, and I knew someone was helping her to give her the pen and everything. So this lady was a blind person. She only asked me 2 questions. She said, I felt your energy. I hope you never put anything that I don't want on this property. And I told him, I'm in the business of only buying and selling land. I'm not going to build anything on this property. And if I can control it, I make sure nobody puts whatever you want. So that was probably one of the best deals of my life. And I sold it for $189 million. That was one of my biggest deals. In fact, Michael Mixer beat my record for that F1 that he just sold recently. Otherwise, till then, that was the highest price sold. And then there was a 100-acre parcel south of M in the BLM auction. And that was probably the luckiest day of my life. I was sitting there with Bob Lewis, and Win Shedler and Scott Gregson, I'm sure you all know them, they were sitting, and when the auctioneer said, sold, and Vince said, oh, we're going to bid on it. And I said, too late. So I bought the property for $10 million. Could it be valued today at $200 million? Yes. $300 million? Could be. It is a deal that you know the value of it more than any one of us sitting here. So there are times in life that we also get a little more luckier on some deals than others. Like also there was a deal in Cal Canyon. I really bought it. The market dropped. I just went in to negotiate the deal. In fact, Greg Corlin was with me from First American Title. I went to retrade the piece. So when I went inside to meet the person, the guy was on his deathbed, almost he couldn't even sign anything. Before he signed, I went outside and I cried and I said, I'll close this. So I closed it the next day without retrading it. But that today is the site that Costco wanted to go on Cal Canyon and Las Vegas and 95 going towards Mount Charleston. So the thing is, the bottom line is real estate, land is like a stock market. If you can hold land, land will hold you forever. If you have a margin, you are in trouble, like in the stock market. You could lose all your thing, the same thing with land. Otherwise, that will take you wherever you want.
I think for me, as far as the deals over the 37 years, the one that intrigued me the most and took the longest, candidly, was putting things together in the Speedway area. Started literally in the early 2000s trying to fight off the Hatfields and McCoys because City of North Las Vegas owned properties and the county owned the other properties. And they didn't like each other. And getting anything done was impossible. One had the water, one had the sewer. And nothing was going there. Fast forward 15 years and a new mayor to that and a very good public-private relationship to make things happen with the understanding, in my view, that was where everyone was heading to and just needed a little help. Donating some land with the help of others here in this room for an off-ramp at Tropical to bring in water and sewer and get it all done to where you see today is the biggest boom. You got to answer that. The biggest boom of industrial in one single place within the valley, and which is leading to the apex area here. So not that I was involved in all of it, probably 70% of it, but that it needed the public-private relationship to happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. with the Hatfields and McCoys just hanging out. Let's sort of jump a little bit to today and what you're seeing and what you're feeling in the marketplace. I know that the last 90, 100 days have been most interesting, and there are various opinions throughout our industry and beyond as to their feelings. And so, Scott, you know, from your perspective on what you do in Las Vegas, where would you say things are for you in development?
Yeah, look, I think Kay put it really well, right? As long as you're long-term in orientation, you know, I think we can all still believe in Las Vegas, right? I think, you know, Las Vegas is the engine of economic activity is from the Strip. The Strip has only widened its moat as the entertainment capital of the world over the last, call it, you know, 10 to 20 plus years. And entertainment has, as a percentage of global GDP, has only continued to increase. So I think we're very well positioned long term. So I definitely believe in long-term viability, but to answer your question kind of more specifically around the short to medium term, I think we should all be cautious, right? I think there's a lot of macro going on that, you know, everyone reads about, right? We're probably in a recession today by the traditional definition of 2, you know, consecutive negative GDP quarters. We have rising financing costs, which are definitely going to challenge developers. We have the U.S. consumer that continues to see rising gas prices, rising mortgage prices, et cetera, everything that you guys know. And so I think cautions is an important kind of way to go about investing in real estate and developing in real estate right now. I think more specifically, you know, I still believe in multifamily, right? I still believe that, you know, there's a housing shortage, and as a result, rents will, worst case, perhaps flatline unless there's some kind of black swan event. I still believe in the secular, and Kevin can speak to it much more intelligently than I can, but the secular trend of industrial because of e-commerce is only going to become more prominent. So, you know, I still believe in real estate. I still believe in developing real estate, but, you know, I think we all need to be a little bit cautious.
Okay.
Well, I can never look at real estate in a negative way. I honestly don't think there is ever a drop if you know what you're doing. Like, in fact, I'll give you a very live story of it. Just now, recently, I had 5 deals with Richmond American. They dropped. They think that, you know, they dropped the deal. They did a great deal. But they don't realize that I made more money by them dropping the deal because I can sell it to another builder. And as far as I'm concerned, if you know how, even more than your real estate, also how to deal with your builders and who the builder is. Like in Las Vegas, I don't know if KB Home is here or not, but anyways, KB Home, because they are entry level or what do you call it, Tom McCormick, who is building Mosaic, because it's zero down, a lot of people can afford buying those homes. Because of the interest rate, the housing market will be affected for a short while. But because they cannot buy it, again, apartment is gone from $1 million an acre to $2 million an acre. Industrial is gone much higher. So the market of real estate, single family, will stay probably for a little cycle. But the main thing is, if you don't mind, I'd like to say this. In single family also, what people they don't realize, if today you sell a piece of property to a builder, it will be in 2025 by when they can sell homes. By the time they go to the grading permit, they start grading, then they build on it, it will be 2025. By then there could be a change in anything in life, in the cycle, and I think everybody would realize that, you know, the cycle is finished, and also the interest rate may drop, and things may happen again. Now, in fact, Kevin is sitting here. There is a deal that just sold in the market on Las Vegas Boulevard for $172 million to Station Casino. So, in fact, that was way below the market price. And the fact is, there will be another casino there.
It's below the market price unless you're buying it.
Yeah.
then it's way over, let's be honest.
I am saying is, there is not even good, really, many more properties left on Las Vegas Boulevard for anyone to buy. If there is, maybe there is store on Las Vegas Boulevard that somebody owns. That's it.
Thanks for that plug, Kate.
Yeah.
You know, I'll save my things for a little later. This plays into it of what you guys are saying, what's happening right now. We're hearing all sorts of negativity, water shortage, the economy globally, nationally, et cetera. We're also hearing, land scarcity, if you will. How do you feel, Scott, about those topics that are being thrown around today and have been for the last, certainly 9-12 months?
So on land scarcity, like there's the famous Mark Twain quote, right? You should buy land, they're not making any more of it. It's true, right? We're going to run out of land eventually. And so scarcity is going to only continue to happen. We're only going to have less and less land as we develop more. I think I'm not sure, I think it's maybe perhaps slightly overstated. I think we still have plenty of land here in Southern Nevada. There's plenty of access to land. That being said, I don't think scarcity is a bad thing, right? I think there are ways to repurpose land that's already been built on, right? I mean, there are great case studies of where land scarcity exists, right? You can go to Manhattan, you can go to West Hollywood. There's plenty of markets where development still occurs on a regular basis, even though there's not as much land as there is in Las Vegas. So yeah, there's no question that there's less and less land, but I don't necessarily believe that to be an issue for our business. I think if anything, it might even be a benefit to our business as we adapt. You want to talk about what? I cover water too, if you want. There's a really good book by a guy named Vaclav Smil, How the World Really Works, and he talks about the environment and how, at the end of the day, we're near-term creatures, right? Like we think about what we need in the near term in order to live, in order to work. And he talks a lot about fossil fuel and the need for that, and billions of people need that in order to run their lives. I think water is the same issue. We're going to continue to use water because we need to in order to have a daily life as we exist today and have a higher quality of life. My belief is, yes, we have a water issue, we have a water shortage in the near to medium term, but I also believe, I think COVID taught us, like, in times of crises, which may happen at some point in time, we're very adaptable, and we'll put those resources into play that will ultimately solve for that issue. And again, we have a playbook, right? I mean, Israel's a good example. You have drip irrigation, you have desalinization, you have harsher government regulation. I mean, there are ways to solve for those problems. So I don't necessarily, it might be a short-term crisis, but I see it as a fixable crisis when that time comes. So,
Okay, thoughts on that? Water shortage, shortage of land in Southern Nevada?
Yeah. One of the main reasons that real estate is done very well in Las Vegas, because Las Vegas is surrounded by mountains and only there is so much land that you can buy. And I hate to bring this up. In fact, I wish BLM, first of all, BLM, I don't even know when you go there how many people are working there. They are not honestly auctioning enough properties. Aviation auction, finally, thanks to Commissioner Justin Jones, and he made them auction. I mean, he talked to them, and they're auctioning properties. In fact, Larry and I, we bought 3 parcels. In this, they say market is down, but the Pulte home bought a lot of properties. Right. So based on that fact, as I said, you can't just be negative. Since I've been here since 45 years ago, they say water shortage, water this, and that. But again, life is going on. Right. If anything, they should sit down and pray so that it rains more and we get more water. That's what it is. Or maybe we should have the builders honestly do a better job on their plumbing, because honestly, most of the houses today, you have to go brush your teeth, wait on the scale to check your weight before you enter, and you have to turn your shower on because it takes probably 5 minutes before your water gets warm. All that waste of water.
Right.
They are shortening the swimming pool size, those kind of things. Honestly, it will help. But to be in a position that we cannot build, I disagree with. And as I said, the main thing is BLM. They should really release more land because there is not enough land for anything. No industrial, no building, no apartments, nothing.
I'd certainly echo that, right? I think, someone could correct me, I think 87% of the land in Nevada is actually BLM controlled, right? So there's no question that's an issue.
So I don't like getting on the scale every morning. But my thoughts are, I don't believe there's a land scarcity. I believe there's a scarcity of usable land, meaning with infrastructure, as I pointed out. Speedway could have sat there forever if someone didn't bring the Hatfields and McCoys together and make something happen. Apex, Southern Nevada Water Authority, and City of Las Vegas, and all the people who make up, the municipalities that make up SNWA, saw that Apex area was the future of the industrial market on a large scale. Zoned, it was there, the infrastructure with the 15 and 93 was there, but it needs water and sewer, right? And so that's in play. They're putting in $250 million towards that, and it's happening right now. And that's what you're seeing with some projects that are already happening. 300-acre Van Trust project, 150 Prologis project, et cetera, all throughout Miners Mesa, et cetera, off of Las Vegas Boulevard and the 15. Further out than the Speedway. That literally 18 months ago, you couldn't give that land away for $3 a foot. Today, last deal, $20 plus a foot. So to your point, it's all about, it isn't about scarcity, it's about putting it to work. And you can put it to work with the infrastructure. I do believe there's enough within the valley structure also that is currently in the hands of the BLM from a residential standpoint in various areas, which we can talk about, that we don't need to rush to open up, this is my opinion only, not CBRE's, to rush to open up thousands of acres south today because people are screaming we are a scarcity of land. From the standpoint of who's going to put in the infrastructure for all that? What literal new facility are you going to need to build, and what cost to make that viable to open up all that area? Eventually, yes, but today, no. And for the foreseeable future, I think you're fine. It's just a matter of working through the infrastructure. I think that in today's world, with what's going on in the market, it's very interesting. I'm not sure if it's 2008 all over again, but there's certainly I was at a meeting yesterday, what people call pencils down. All the developers and investors are, and from an industrial standpoint, are pencils down, meaning they're pausing to try to figure out what's going on in the world today with interest rates, with inflation, et cetera. Housing, to your point, Kay, you do that 450,000 entry-level house, and it's at 3%, it was $1,892. At 5%, it became $721 more a month. You put that on, that's roughly $9,000. That means someone's got to make about 12 grand or another $1,000 a month to just afford that house. And by the way, that was 5%. We're going to go up 3/4 of a point here next week. So those dynamics are happening live, global things going on, et cetera. So certainly we're in for a little bit of, interesting times here. I think that with an industrial market at an anemic less than 1%, which is the lowest it's ever been, ever. In big box, it's less than half of that. Where, the traditional big box for 35 years had been, you build it, 12 months of downtime in there, built in there, et cetera, no problem, here it is, you're happy as a clam. We've gotten used to the last couple of years of literally, and we're doing it right now, leasing on paper, meaning nothing's happened. You've got a piece of paper, just the land's out there, and you'll see a building in 12 to 15 months. And we're leasing on paper. We've probably got a third of all the development up in North Las Vegas already pre-leased for next year because there's no product, and you'll see a less amount of absorption in this whole year than we did last year because there's no product to absorb right now at that. And is that hurting us? Yes, it's hurting us. People are going to other markets because they need something and need to know when it's there within 6 to 12 months. But
seeing developers require require pre-leasing because of what their banks are giving or providing feedback? Not yet.
No, not yet. I think it's just become everywhere. You look in California, Arizona, et cetera, it's happening like that, and we've got an anemic vacancy. So we're not alone in that as far as that lack of product. It's just become used to it. Even if we don't build a third of what we've got on the books, or it gets pushed back to 24 and 25, and even if we don't lease a thing from now on in the next 12 but 15 months. So we're at 4 or 5% vacancy. Sure. In 37 years, that used to be a really good dynamic market. And we wouldn't lose out on some of these deals we are losing out on to the likes of Arizona, et cetera. So I think it's a little bit of tale of two cities there. I mean, if we were at 10%, I think I'd be panicking, going, okay, we're on our way to 15 maybe if things don't happen or whatever. But it's a reality check. And then cap rates, we got down to the 3s. Well, they were 4.5 to maybe 5% just 3 years ago. So again, it's funny what we get used to very quickly here and believe as the norm. And I think that dynamic, as long as you put it in your head and understand it's going to be coming back to some basics, that'll happen. I do think there is, again, a lot of pencils down. There's a lot of retrading going on right now. Just talking to my colleague here this morning. They closed yesterday on land that they were in for $38 a square foot, Lamb and Cheyenne area, $31 a square foot. That's an 18.5% decrease, reduction in the price, retrade.
And don't you think that's reflected because it used to be a 3.5 cap that you could underwrite to, and now you're at a 4.5 cap, so we're kind of out of equilibrium, and
yes,
so pricing has to
well,
potentially come down.
Not only that is you had, I always say we had 5 developers 5 years ago who were developing. Then it became, 10, which 3 were national, 3 were regional, 3 were local, roughly. And then it became 30 and 40. And people just, Las Vegas, especially with the downtime in the COVID, retail was a bad word, office was a bad word, so I'm putting my money to work, and it was industrial. So everyone poured in who maybe weren't all experienced in that, and they were just buying land, and it was getting bid up. Great for those who want it. I would say I think we've seen the high water mark for a while in industrial in the North Las Vegas area. And I think we've also seen some retrading of properties, investment properties right now for a close because of that cap rate issue, because of the lack of debt or lower debt, loan to value ratio, et cetera. And the unknown of being able to, and the debt guys can tell me, lock in and feel comfortable what they're going to lock in at. The bigger thing at the end of the day, which I took away from yesterday's meeting we had, was that the unknown is what they can sell it for down the road, which plays the reverse engineering of all the way where they can buy it for today. So that's a big unknown. But I still believe we have a healthy market. We are growing like we've never seen before. We're seeing companies like we've never seen before. And to your point, long term, I believe there will still continue to be this mass exodus out of California, Oregon, Washington, and I think Southern Nevada is a primary state. Arizona's certainly right there, but a primary state to have that happen so they can deliver back into that area, to your point. I don't think that will stop at all.
I agree, and I don't see an 08 situation either. I proceed with caution, but that doesn't mean there's going to be some kind of terrible event that occurs. I think you put it really well, Kevin. I think there's just uncertainty in the market, right? So it's hard to underwrite something. It's hard to say, let's go spend a significant amount of money just because we're not really sure what kind of footing we're on. I think once the market hopefully gets a little bit, you're never gonna be on solid ground, but a little bit more solid ground, I do believe that the market picks back up. Not that it's struggling. I mean, as a recent sale that you were involved in yesterday shows.
We all live in different times. And again, I think also to Kay's point, we're seeing these different buyers that we never saw before.
Yeah.
Stadiums, casinos, medical, et cetera, that aren't afraid to put down of significant sizes, significant amounts of money, because they also, as we've all said and heard for 37 years, you longer, et cetera, location, right? So I see we're running over, and I want to open it up to any questions that might be out there.
If anyone has any questions, please find me. I'll be here. Today we've learned that Scott reads brainy books on water and Kay sits on the beach looking at the ocean.
Which one of us is doing it wrong? Yeah.
As Kay's been called the Houdini of land, as Kevin Higgins knows, really no one's worked harder in the last 40 years doing land deals than Kay. He's ahead of everyone. He's 25 hours a day on the phone. We have a question for Scott. You mentioned earlier development per capita.
Sure.
Could you kind of just dig a little deeper into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really important stat that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. Right now, we have a pipeline of, call it $20 billion, right? Let's just go back to 2017. So you had Resorts World that has spent $4 billion. You have, what T-Mobile was built for, et cetera. And it's about a $20 billion pipeline of development that will occur. We have, call it 2.7 million people that live here. So that ratio, development dollars spent per capita, is higher than any other city in the world, perhaps outside of like a New York City during Hudson Yards development. So I think that's a pretty unique way to think about it, because that drives economic growth, right? Development drives economic growth. And so I think it's an important stat. And we are, if we're going to qualify as a second-tier market, there's no second-tier market that's even close to that. And I think that's what makes Las Vegas special.
So you like that number a lot and the direction it's going?
Yeah, I think it's very compelling. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Kevin, there was a question, Higgins, about, it was an apex question. So some of the $20 land obviously has water to it. Some of that $3 land probably doesn't have water to it. Is there going to be, what's the gap going to look like between the delivery of water in apex and timing of the existing lands being sold out?
Yeah, the $3 land was yesterday's prices a year and a half ago that no one was believing Apex, the Van Trust property, 300 acres, which they had to put a lot of infrastructure in. The latest at the 20-ish is going to be rough graded, and the infrastructure is not there, but it'll be the first to get it at Las Vegas Boulevard and the 15. There are no $3 deals anymore. You're lucky if you get a single-digit deal within the Apex area. And again, when most people think of Apex, they think of the Love's truck stop at 15 and 95, right? So out in that area, you cannot find, you're very lucky if you find something that's high single digits. And by the way, there's nothing on the market yet today, maybe tomorrow, for that. And that's just because, again, the scarcity, everything's moving up that way and happening right now. But the days of the low single digits are gone.
When you mentioned earlier about the retrading at the $38 a foot, was that an example that those sellers probably would have taken 25 anyhow? I mean, was their basis good and just the market got them to 38, so they were not happy to retrade, but okay with it?
No, I don't think they were going to hit 25, but they held on to it for long enough, and they were timed that they were at the altar to sell it. I think they were rational enough to know that, did they want to start the process all over again? How deep was that buyer's pool? And where would they end up anyways? And it might be a little less today, in 90 days when someone might close on it.
The three of you can kind of finish for the next couple minutes. Let's talk about the South Strip. We kind of talked over it, but you both have vested sales in there, a vested project. It's been, South Las Vegas Boulevard has been kind of, stagnant. The South Point was 20 years ago for a number of reasons. So maybe, Scott, if you start with the project you're involved with, the Blue Diamond, sure. And then you three can just kind of talk around that, basically Cactus to Warm Springs section of the valley that everyone's probably pretty familiar with.
So, sure. Kay, did you own the land at one point that I bought?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
No.
It's kind of like
he bought it on the beach while he was
kind of like
drinking them.
Scott, not the one you bought.
Next one.
Just the one.
Kay's like Kevin Bacon, 6 Degrees. Yeah, at some point. So Prospect Street bought 66 acres on Las Vegas Boulevard and Blue Diamond. It's a piece that we looked at in 2018 actually when it was for sale. And I always remember we spent a lot of time on it. And Ernie Lee called me and said, Scott, I know he's a friend of mine. I know you spent a lot of time on this. I'm really sorry. I'm going to buy it tomorrow. I'm just going to buy it into contract, next day I'll buy it. And I said, I can't do that, good luck. I think you're buying it for too much. He bought it for $60 million. We bought it 4 years later for $100 million. So he was right and I was wrong. But no, we're excited about it. We have, I'll call it a partnership with Oakview Group, which is run by a guy named Tim Lewicki, who's the #1 stadium arena developer in the world. He built Staples, now Crypto Center. He built T-Mobile when he was the CEO of AEG. He left that firm and now owns a company called Oakview Group. He hired Mark Bedane, who is the former president of the Raiders, to run Oakview Las Vegas, and they're building what they believe will be an extraordinarily high-quality arena that will have the ability to serve an NBA team potentially, serve high-quality concerts, and then also a hotel and casino where they hired the former president of Bellagio to run that casino. So it's a very exciting project. I think South Las Vegas Boulevard, south of the Strip, is going to be a much different place in 5 to 10 years between Brightline West and the Oakview project. And obviously the Stations project as well, which is really exciting for everyone. So, I believe in that market very much so. Perhaps my highest conviction sub-market for sure.
The South Strip is sat a little dormant for a couple of years, certainly. I remember 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was, when I sold Michael Gaughan, which is now the South Point project. As I told him then, I said, maybe there's nothing here today, but you gotta look out in 3, 5, 7 years, you're gonna be in the heart of things. I think we put it on pause. There was so much activity further up the street that people are finally realizing that you're still in the center of town. There's so many things happening and dynamic in that whole area. And now with the addition of the 172 acres of Station Casino's additional acquisition Monday, I think that only heightens the interest in that area for properties such as Kay has and others. I think it just, again, creates a new norm down there. Okay, anything on?
Yeah. When I came in Las Vegas and I joined hand with Larry Conradi of American West Home, and I was assembling properties for them, for some reason, he said, that's a golden triangle. And I said, I didn't know that. He said, well, we don't belong in Golden Triangle. Let's go do everything else. So I don't have my teleprompter, so I can go through it and to the list and tell you guys. But anyways, I started thinking the best way to deal with real estate land is to own the north, own the south, east, and the west. Now, and guess what? We have 1,000 acres in APEC. We have almost like 250 acres in the south. And this part of it is on Las Vegas Boulevard. I'd like to let everybody know. I was in American West, Larry Conradi's office. We had sold a piece in Golden Triangle, which we bought from BLM. And we doubled our money. We didn't know what to do with the money. So I was sitting in his office. He says, Kay, D.R. Horton is selling this property. What do you want to do? I said, in fact, Bill Lenhart was the broker on that deal. And we were supposed either to close it in 5 days or get out of the deal. So Larry asked me one question. He says, Kay, what do you think? I said, Larry, this has been a bad luck for you because you and Gary Goet owned this property. You guys lost money. You sold it to D.R. Horton for $500 an acre, and you expect me to buy it at $700 an acre. I said, let's think about it. So we sat down like for just almost like 15 minutes. And Larry said, the 15 minutes is up. And I said, okay, this is my thought. We have owned Windmill and Las Vegas Boulevard. We have owned Pebble and Las Vegas Boulevard. We own Silverado and Las Vegas Boulevard. We own Cactus and Las Vegas Boulevard. The only thing, if you want to be Star and Las Vegas Boulevard, we should own the Star. So this was 63 acres on Star and Las Vegas Boulevard. We bought it from Bill Lenhart. And honestly, I think that is, I hope you agree with, that's the last best piece of property beside what the Station Casino recently purchased. So, and in the south, we carried it below South Point, all the way to the new road that's coming in. So, and everything has been in a great price and everything else. Like also, Scott, what you said, I didn't own that property. My assemblage was 110 acres north of that property. The one you bought was from Fred Nasiri.
Sure, yeah.
The one that I owned, we were going to build with Harrison Ford, George Clooney, and Brad Pitt. They were in my office. That was the best, probably one of the best days of my life. My kids were young and they were telling me, don't forget to get the autograph. And honestly, that was a piece of property that even my son never wanted me to sell. Until this day, I could go buy it for what I sold it like 10 years ago. So that is not going up in value. But otherwise, everything else is in a perfect condition.
I'd like to thank all three of you. It's been a wonderful panel, our record crowd here today. Kevin, wrap us up, and thank you.
No, I again appreciate it. Thank you very much. If there's anything, someone's got a question, feel free to come and ask the panel here afterwards. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Mr. Goldstein, Mr. Roohani, Mr. Higgins, thank you very much for your time and contributions here today. Chuck Yeller with Cox Business, thank you, sir, for being our sponsor. Don't forget, drop your business cards at the back of the table. Everyone have a wonderful day and a wonderful summer. Thank you for being here.